Hello there guys, and welcome back to BTA Bitesize, episode number 5. Today we're going to be looking at a Mechbay overview. Firstly though, I'm up here. Stop looking down at the left hand. I'm over here, top right hand corner. Hi, how you doing? I decided to move it just so that my camera wasn't blocking sort of loads of important stuff. So what this is going to be, the Mechbay section is probably going to be a multi-part series. Multi-section episodes, because there is quite a lot to get through. So this particular one I'm going to be covering just the general navigation around the Mechbay and sort of like how the where everything is, storage, etc., and like how the salvage, how to build salvage mechs essentially. That's going to be covering most of what we're going to be covering today. So first off, as you can see in the main Mechbay, whichever mech you have selected, this will be the model you have represented up here in front of you. Bear in mind, again, this is a mod, so there may be the odd model that's a little bit quirky. There may be something sticking out where it shouldn't be, or something along those lines. That's just, you know, you're just going to have to bear with that. Likewise, with regards to the camo pattern, you can actually change these. Now, the color scheme is determined on what you select in your captain quarters under the customized company. So the 3 colors that you choose in there will affect the paint schemes that you have in the game. So you have a choice of 6 different color patterns, and they vary from mech model to mech model, and you know, obviously depending on you know, what colors that you have chosen. And also, again, because it is a mod, there is the odd mech that doesn't actually have a camo paint model for it, so you might just, the mech might just be like a completely grey model. It's just one of them things. They are very, very few and far between. You know, that those, I'm assuming, you know, will just get updated as and when we go. So as you can see in the center of the screen, you have your actual mech bays. It's actually split into 3 slots. So you've got bay 1, bay 2, bay 3. I'm currently on my Twitch playthrough, so obviously I have all 3 bays unlocked. When you start, obviously you will only have the 1. The 2nd and 3rd bays you unlock through the engineering section, which we will get into later. So difference from vanilla wise, there is no difference. There is still the 6 mechs. That system all, you know, that still system is all the same. If you go to storage, this will have all of the different mech parts that you have. You can separate them between light, medium, heavy, and assault. The assault tab, obviously, it says 80 to 100 tons, but it has actually covered the super heavies that are in the mod as well, like the like this Matar here, which is obviously the 110. So that's where you will be able to find those. Components wise, if you switch over onto that one, you will have it broken down into 3 main compartments. So you'll have your weapons, and there'll be either the complete list, as you can see here down the bottom left here. We've got selected it all. You can either select them to ballistic, you can select it to energy, you can select it to missile, or you can select it to the support. Same exact thing works with the ammo. Again, ballistic, missile, support. And then the equipment is broken down between jump jets, engines, engine cores and cooling, and then the ancillary support stuff like armor, mask, shields, etc, etc, etc is listed into there. So moving on from that, on the right hand side here you can see the actual stat card for the mech that you have selected. As you can see in this one, we have a Black Knight. It will show on the paper doll, like if there's any bits that need repairing or anything that's damaged will all sort of show up on here. We've got the overview of the different damage ranges, the heat efficiency, movement bars and durability bars. We will be covering this in the next episode. Just don't really pay a lot of attention to these, especially these top 2, the heat efficiency and the movement. They kind of don't quite work. It's not that the mod is broken and it's not working. It's just the way the stuff has been added in with the mod. The Mechbay coding can't deal with it. You know, the 2 don't talk to each other. So I'll go into it in a lot more detail in the next video. You can obviously see an overview of all of the stuff that you have equipped on that specific mech on this right hand side box here, and you also have a list of all the different hard points that particular mech has. So as you can see, my Black Knight doesn't have any ballistic, but it has 8 laser, 3 of which are occupied, has 0 missile, and it has 5 support, 5 of which are occupied, and apparently 30 jump jets. I'm not entirely sure if that's correct or not. It does seem a little bit odd, but we don't have any fitted anyway. The other 2 buttons you see down here are put your mech into storage. So what this will do is it strips all of the parts off of your mech and then chucks it into your storage, which will be listed in this component here. and all of the other weapons will obviously be listed. So that's, you know, if you just want to quit, if you've, you know, finished using that particular mech, or you've built it and you realize you don't want it and you just want to stick it back into storage, that's the button. You don't have to manually remove everything. Likewise, this little orange button here is the scrap button. If you select that, it will give you a value of how much that mech is currently worth. It will only scrap the actual chassis. It won't scrap any of the parts that are attached to it, so you won't lose your cores or your weapons. It will only be what the actual value of that chassis is, and that value will obviously be affected by the scrap value that you would have altered, if at all, in starting up your when you did your initial playthrough. Also, as well, with regards to that scrap button, if you actually want to scrap just individual mech components, i.e. like just this particular Emperor part here, the button works exactly the same. You press it, it gives you the value, and you can scrap it. This is actually very handy if you are mid-trip. You can actually scrap anywhere. You don't have to be at a shop or at a planet to do so. The scrap mechanic basically will scrap the value even if you're mid-transit in between systems. You can do so. So if you realize you're actually traveling from point A to point B and you are about to fail your financial report because you don't have enough money, you can actually just jump in and scrap some mech components just to make yourself a quick few thousand C-bills to get you through your next financial report. Don't worry about accidentally pressing these. You do have to, you know, there is an extra button to confirm it, so, you know, don't panic if you accidentally press the wrong button. Moving on from that, we will now go on to actually how you actually build your mechs and how you actually get your new equipment. So basically, the way the system works is depending on how many mech parts that you have told it's in the setting up of your campaign. Obviously, this will determine how many mech parts you need to complete a mech. However, don't despair. You don't need 5 components of that one specific variant in order to get that mech to be built. The way the system works is you can actually combine the different parts from different variants to make one complete one. However, there are a few caveats that goes with this. So, for example, as you can see here, we have a Mauler 3S and we have a Mauler 2R. We have 4 parts for each. So, and on their own, they can't be completed. If you see, if the mech cannot be built in any way, shape or form, you will see it'll actually be in this grey box. A mech that has been built will be in this, will basically the paper doll will be green, and then there's a, you know, really super rare ones that can only be built. Again, this is the caveat. This can only be built by the exact same variant parts. So as you can see, I've only got one of that, so I can't do anything else with it. But moving back on, so these Mauler parts here, so we have 4 parts of the Mauler 2R and we have 4 parts of the Mauler 3S. Now, if you select the whichever one that you want, if you look down in the bottom right hand corner, it gives you an overview of obviously all the different weapon slots and things that it has. It also gives you a rundown of what the stock build will be. So the 2R variant, you can see the standard AC2s are replaced with ultra versions, etc, etc, etc. And if you also look down here in this little green lines down here, it actually tells you what components these particular components are compatible with. So as you can see, it's compatible with variants of the Mauler 3S, which is what we have. So we could build this using the parts of the 3S. Bear in mind as well that when you do so, you will only get the variant that you selected the main one to be. So for example, if I want to make this Mauler 2R and I select ready, I will then have a list of all of the different parts that are available for that mech, that basically are compatible with that mech, and those are the ones that I can use to build. Again, depending on how many you build, obviously with the 5 section, with the 5 one, you need minimum 3 base parts, and then you can use 2 other parts from 2 other completely different variants. Obviously, as the amount that you amount of mech parts that you required to build the mech increases, so does that level. But for this one, for this example, we can see we have 4 parts of this one. It's going to cost us £60,000 to convert them, and then we can just click confirm and do so if we wish. That will give me a Mauler 2R. If I want the Mauler 3S, I can likewise do exactly the same because I have enough parts of the other one and I have enough parts of this one to do so in the other direction. So again, I can select that, and as you can see now, the 2R parts are the ones that we can use, and then 68,000 credits later, we can actually move on. So you're not limited by what you can actually use. You don't actually have to have all 5 parts of the same variant, or all 8 parts, or all 3 parts, or whatever it is. You can actually chop and change, but the one that you select, the main one, the first one that you select, that you click on the ready button, is going to be the variant you get. It won't be some weird hybrid or anything else. It will be that exact variant. And that pretty much covers it. So, and also it will, this is the good way of getting all your equipment. So let's ready up the S variant, which I believe is the one I want. So I click confirm, and this will then put me this will give me the 2R, which when I go into my Mechbay, there it is. And then if we click on refit, this is all the bit, and then we should have when it comes up in a second, there we go. These are all the bits that mech comes with. Now, if we decide we don't want that mech and we only wanted the parts, what we do then is we just go back to the Mechbay, we put it back into storage, which we click confirm, and down it goes. This only does once. So if I take that mech back out of storage again, so we grab our 2R and we ready it up and put it back in, it will sometimes, if you do it too quickly, it will say it needs a day to do it. So we just quickly do that. And of course it's just right on the time that I have a budget meeting. If we go back into the Mechbay, you will see that the actual 2R is there, and it doesn't actually have any parts on it. So it's not something you can use to farm it, and it won't just rebuild the stock build. If you want to know what the stock build is, if you hover over this eye icon, it will actually give you a rundown of what actually is installed, what's installed on that mech for that. And that, guys, is basically it for this video. I've gone a little bit over the time limit on this one, but like I said, there's a lot to go through. So obviously next episode is going to be covering the heat efficiency bar and the movement and such like, and we'll be moving more onto builds and stuff later on. If you did find the video helpful, please don't forget to leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to come and see me on Twitch. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday. Monday is mostly my Battletech day, but sometimes I do it on a Saturday as well. As for me, I'm done, guys. Stay safe, have a good one, and I'm out. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.